Hello. Now we are going to talk about class and the static method. Now, as we have seen that when we have defined the functions inside the class, right? So as we know that the function or the method works differently, it depends on if the function exists through class or the instance, right? So if the function exists through the instance, it becomes a method. If the function exists through the class, it is just as a function now. For example, here we have this class person. We have defined the hello. It has the default argument parameter, right? When we run this, now here we're trying to access the hello functions with respect to the class. When we call this, it has been called without any argument, right? So this hello has just taken the default argument only. It has not passed any argument. But when we say here, when we say p dot person dot hello, it is just a regular function with the default argument. But if we call hello from the instance, right? Here we first create the instance of the class. We can say p dot hello. It says that it is a method bound to the person object. Now when we say p dot hello, now it says this hello from arg equal to and then itself. Now this has passed, this object has been automatically passed to the hello functions. We can even check with the ID. So we have already discussed this, right? Now sometimes we define a functions that do not interact with the instance itself, right? Sometimes we define a function in the class that do not interact with the instance, but may need something from the class, right? So we need a function that can access some property direct from the class. In those cases, we want a class to be passed in the function as an argument. We do not want an object to be passed in the function. Like over here, the object has been passed as an argument, but we want a class need to be passed as an argument, right? Whether that function or the method should be called from the class or the instance both. In both cases, we need a class to be passed. These are called the class method, right? So class method can be used with the class method decorator. At the class method decorator, we can create a class method, right? Like over here, this is an example we have. So here we have this my class, we have this hello, just print hello. We have this instance method. So we have this function called instance hello, which takes one argument. And then we have this function called class hello, which takes one argument, and it has a class method decorator. So this is a signal that this is a class method now. Now let's see what are the differences. Here we have created the object. Now we are calling the hello from the class. It will be called when we call hello from the object. Because we are calling from the object, this object automatically pass itself as an first argument. And because hello does not take any argument, so this will fail. This will give you the error. On the other hand, m dot instance hello, this function will be passed because this takes one argument, and this m will be passed itself on that argument, and this is working. Now when you try the same function with the class without any argument, this will not work because class does not pass itself as an argument. It will say that it needs an argument. Yeah, we have this missing requirement argument. As we can see, the instance method needs to be called from the instance, right? If we call it from the class, no argument is passed to the function, so we'll get the error. And this is not the case with the class method. So instance method gets failed when it is being called from the class name. But with the class method, it doesn't matter if you call the method from the class or the instance, right? First argument will always be provided by the Python, and that would be the class itself, right? So let's see the class method over here. We have seen this my class. So this class hello is the class method over here. We are trying to see how the class method looks like when we call from the class name. Here it says that bond method my class dot class my class dot class hello, and here it says that it passes the references of my class. Now let's see what happens when you call the same method with the object. Here we get the same thing, right? Here we get the same thing. Can you see this? In both cases, we are passing the class name as well, right? But this is not the case with the instance method. With the instance method, here when you call from the class name, it is a simple function now. And when you call from the object, it is a method now which required first argument as an object, right? So this is the difference between class method and the instance method. So if you have the class method and if you call from the instance, the first argument will be passed as the class name itself, right? So whenever you call the class hello, which is a class method, which is bound to the class, the first argument is the class itself. So we can call with the class name, and it gives you this result, hello from this. And when you call the object class method with the object name, you'll get the same output, right? Now, with the convention for the instance method, we use the self as the first parameter, and we use the CLS as a we use the CLS for the class method as a first parameter, right? Now, sometimes we want to define a function which is not related to class and the object. That means we want to bind a functions. That means we want to create a function which does not pass the reference as a class and the object both. And this is the case where we need to create the utility functions. Now, in that case, you have to make the static method. And to create a static method, you have to use the static method decorator. Here we have this. So now we have this instance hello, which is the instance method. We have this class hello, which is a class method. Now this is a static hello, which is a static method. Now the static method does not take any references. It is just a simple function now, right? So this takes object as a reference, this takes class as a reference, and this does not takes any references. Let's say this. Here is the object. When we say m.instance hello, we are calling the instance method from the object. Here we are calling the class method from the class, and here we call the class method from the object, right? Now let's see the static method. When we see my class dot static hello, what we see? This is a simple function. This is just a simple function. You can also see m.static hello. In this case as well, this is also a simple function, right? So you can call this static function either from the class or either from the object. This is just a simple function, and it is not bound to any of the object or the references, any of the object or the class, right? We can call from the class directly, right? And we can also call from the object directly, right? This is what class and the static method are, right? Thank you very much.